Hi everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Small Stages, Big Sounds. I'm here tonight with Justin, aka DJ Astro Creep, who's going to give us a chat about what's going on in the Liverpool and Manchester area. Just to give you an idea of what's going on, this week there are a few albums being released that reviews will be on Uberrock. The ones that interest me are the ones by Beth Hart, which is actually phenomenal, and also the ones by the Von Hertzen brothers in Murmuration. So they are two good ones that I've reviewed this week. So we'll just have a chat to see what's in Justin's radar, and we'll take it from there. Carry on, Just. So what's going on in your area?
I guess Manchester's a bit more of a hive than Liverpool at the moment, though. Obviously, both cities have a lot of musical history. Liverpool, obviously, Beatles are the very very obvious ones, maybe echoing the Bunnymen to quite an extent as well. But even through then, you had the Coral that were fairly big at the time. But a lot of other bands, both kind of heavier and lighter, that have been out since as well. Probably the Wombats is the kind of other kind of big one in the last kind of 10, 15 years or so.
Okay.
Manchester's seems to have an even more burgeoning scene, but they have, because it's a bigger city centre, there's a lot more venues there, including the grassroots ones, just to make it easier for bands to get that access into the first gigs.
So what was the most recent gig that you went to in one of the GMVs?
I've go to that many gigs and I'm trying to work out which one was in which venue. It probably would have been Satan's Hollow. So there's a band that I manage called Ingenue. The venue before myself, they've always been fully DIY. And I'm there just basically to help give them a nudge in directions where they're absolutely amazing at the creative side and the playing side, but they just don't understand any of the business side. Because I've done that before, after a decade of saying no to bands, they actually convinced me by just being that good. So I'm there to just kind of nudge them, sometimes unwillingly, in fairness, to kind of ways that they need to go forward to make it easy for them to try and grow.
Okay. So what's the next gig on your agenda?
I'm actually going to see a band called Health tonight, who are like an older industrial band. They're on in Manchester Ritz tonight.
Okay. So what about album releases? Any music that you're aware of?
There's so many. What was the last one I did? I'll probably have to look that. I've been a little bit slow on the album coverage, to be honest. I've just been focusing on the lives, as the time to kind of sit down and listen to new stuff has been quite short due to everything I've had going on in the last few months, certainly.
I did notice you did the review of Steve Hackett.
Yes, he's so good.
You did the review and I did the photography.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal gig. Great for photography as well.
Yeah, well, there's a reason he's been going as long as he has. From the early Genesis, very early Genesis days. Well, right through his solo stuff and all the other side projects he's had as well.
He's an incredible musician.
Yeah,
surrounded by incredible musicians.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the bassist he has for his touring at the minute, Jonas Reingold, who's in multiple other projects for very, very good reason, is just, yeah. I think it's great. Craig Blundell is the drummer at the moment as well.
Yeah.
Who's another, like, his solo spot in the Hackett gig was just very good.
Worth waiting for.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what are the bands that are on your radar from either area?
I could actually go a little bit beyond that as well. There's the likes of Delilah Bond, who's kind of pushing out at the minute. It's maybe not quite, as in some places as rocky as some of the other stuff I listen to. But she's actually it kind of reminds me of the kind of girl riot girl kind of thing during the 90s. L7 and similar to them. It's that whole kind of female empowerment, the full equal rights and stuff like that, which in these days should be pretty obvious to most people, but things are what they are, unfortunately, still.
Mm.
The band that I manage, obviously, I'll be kind of untoward if I wasn't saying genuinely how good they are. Again, Ingenue, they're called.
You'd have to
There's
spell that.
INGE with the Akut accent, N for November, UE.
I'll have to look them up.
Yeah, I can send you the link across. That's no problem.
Okay, that'll be useful.
Yeah, with those, every month from April this year, we've had a release out, and we're going to do the same all of next year as well. So that's either a standalone single, or an EP, with a full debut album planned at some point next year. Like they're already a good way through writing it, so I'm just starting to get to the point of considering studio time for that now.
Okay. Well, one name to watch.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, there's a Manchester band called Hey Bulldog as well, who it's a kind of 60s garage rock into more modern, I guess indie would be the overall term now. Who that I'm sure they were supporting someone else. I think it was. Who was it? I can remember the venue. I can't remember who. Oh, King Tuff it was. So American Southern States garage rock band. That whole kind of heavy blues rock kind of feel. And yeah, Hey Bulldog I think were first on, so it was one of their earlier gigs, and they caught my ear straight away. They were really, really good. And I've just kind of kept an eye on them since. And I've noticed they've started doing headline shows in smaller venues now as well, which is really good to see.
There's a band that I saw on the Scarlet Rebels gig the other night. Were actually quite good, called Morgan Way.
Okay, I don't know those.
They're from from Cambridge.
Okay.
It's unusual. It's roots rock, that kind of music, and it's actually quite good.
I have to have a look at those myself then.
And I think they're doing a tour next year.
Okay.
I did have the dates, but I got it somewhere. But
I've not even looked at next year yet. I want to get to 100 gigs this year first.
Well, I don't nowhere near that this year, but it's picking up.
Tonight's number 79 for the year for me, which, considering I'm now in a wheelchair when I go to gigs, it's a lot harder than it used to be.
Well, yeah, at least you're guaranteed a good view, I suppose.
Well, I'm guaranteed a seat at least.
Even if you've got to take it with you.
Yeah, not always a that good a view, but when it's a smaller venue, it's obviously a lot harder to make sure you can get to see things properly. But
disabled access can be a bit difficult in smaller venues.
Yeah, and some are just not suitable at all. But it is what it is. It's the nature of some of the small venues. They have to set up where they can get the premises, so there's not a lot that can be done.
I mean, talking about smaller venues and improvements and things, I've been doing a lot of research around the grassroots music venue scene and looking at the Music Venue Trust.
Yeah.
The Music Venue Trust does actually provide capital money for minor arrangements and equipment and things. So the big thing for them that's come out this year is the amount that Coldplay are donating out of their ticket sales.
Okay.
They're donating 10% of their total ticket sales to the Music Venue Trust.
That's actually
a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
Which is more than could be said from other people.
A lot of others, yeah. Well, weirdly, Taylor Swift, when she plays in places, so she did a couple of gigs in Liverpool earlier this year, she actually donated not to the independent venues, well, to my knowledge, but did to like local food banks and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
she did in Cardiff
which
as well.
which is actually, albeit it's not it back into the scene in that way, but it's still that help for the local area, which is still a lot of respect and stuff like that as well.
Mm. If more people did that, then it could make a big difference.
A massive difference, yeah.
Because I had a quick play with some of the numbers for the Principality Stadium, say for example.
Hmm.
There's 74,000 capacity. You're looking at say a minimum of £138 a ticket for the lowest price ticket.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. That's 10 million to start with.
Hmm.
Then you add in the drink and the food. You know, it's a few quid,
Yeah.
and that's one venue.
Yep.
All right, there are costs. There's higher costs. There's other things that got to be accommodated.
Yep.
So, but they're not walking away with £5 in their back pockets.
No, I mean they'll for a gig like that. I guess it'd be like the likes of Live Nation or similar major promoter.
Yeah,
So they're making their money. So for using Coldplay as the examples, they'll probably pay Coldplay, and I guess probably $1 million a person. But then what they have extra from left over on the tickets, well, left over. So they'll do the inverted commas a little like that. Uh, so they only make a couple of million.
oh,
Well, it must be heartbreaking for them when you've got small venues literally closing because they can't pay bills and they're just trying to give bands a venue.
I mean the Music Venue Trust as well. They push in this ticket levy for
Hmm.
the big gigs.
Yeah.
If they take £1 off all the ticket sales, you know, uh, the Oasis boys, they've sold apparently 1.2 million tickets.
Hmm.
So you take £1 off that, that's
Yeah.
1.2 million quid straight into the GMVs.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you Manchester now has two different like major arenas. Got the AO Arena above Victoria Station, which I think is 23,000 capacity. Then you've got the new Co-op Live, which have now been to a couple of times, and the sound of there is actually a lot closer to a smaller venue than it is, considering it's 23,500. I think that's an extra 500 seats than the AO, and but the sound in there is actually extremely good. It's not what you'd expect from it, and I'd say an arena of that size.
not boomy.
No, well, I saw a crowded house there last week, which grown up, I think it was my mum's. My mum had like one of my parents had like a crowded house, greatest hits, and so got into them that way, and just the vocal melodies and all that. But yet they don't even need to turn it right up in the co-op. They have it at a good level so you can hear everything. But there's an actual clarity of sound which you would only usually get in that kind of small venue where you're immediately in front of the band.
Yeah, yeah. That was the one thing I noticed with Steve Hackett the other day, is that it did seem to be a little bit muddy from a vocal perspective. It was just the arena, it was just the setup.
Okay.
Um, and okay, I do wear earplugs when I go in because, as I said, I'm at an age where I'm a little bit hard of hearing. I want to
Hmm.
keep what I got.
Yeah, yeah.
But it did seem a little bit muddy. But there we are.
Well, I saw Hackett at the Philharmonic Hall in Liverpool, and there, I mean, it's a purpose-built venue
Yeah.
for some kind of live music. So it's the sound there was impeccable as it always is.
Hmm. So, any releases you got on your agenda?
Um,
Any local bands that you think would
I,
be?
there was one or two I was actually looking at, but I'd have to get the gig, the sheet up. Where do we have it? Which was the ones I was looking at? Oh, that was it. There was a band called Clogger, Klogr, who are progressive metal. which is out on Halloween. The album's called Fractured Realities. What was the one? And Sergeant Thunderhoof as well, which the album Ghost of Baden Hill, which is mid-November. So that's kind of the harder edge of doom, like doom infused metal. They call themselves, but actually saw them live at a showcase for a Manchester label, APF Records, who do a lot of stoner rock and surrounding genres. Very much a boutique level, independent. The owner is massively into the music himself, so does all the A&R. And they're a label I have a lot of time for because they support the artists as much as a lot more than I'm not going to name names for obvious reasons, but a lot more than some bigger labels would. They're really supportive. In fact, there's another. Well, they were Manchester now. They're just outside Manchester, based label called Analog Trash, and they do some kind of electronic stuff, which can be in some cases quite weird, but that's obviously fine with me anyway. Through to a bit more progressive stuff, through to they've got a range of different bands there, and again, they're a label that they. So I know the owners of that quite well. I knew them before they kind of founded the label. I know their ethos has always been that they do an equal split with artists, which is pretty much unheard of, to be honest. So basically, they'll pay for, say, recordings. So, say Band A wants this album. They go, okay, you'll fit with our kind of sound. We think you're good enough to kind of add in. So they'll pay for all the upfront costs of the recording, mixing, mastering, CDs, vinyl, in some cases, stuff like that. And then so basically they get the cost back and then they do a 50-50 split, which is a lot better than most labels will offer to an artist. And again, any label that will give more back to the artist, because at the end of the day, they're the ones creating the music.
Yeah.
They're the ones that tend to get shafted on anything kind of recording related, really, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Well, that's probably the only way to put it, to be honest with you. So a question occurred to me then shot through my brain, as it does. Oh, yeah, you're talking about promoters and venues and people like that. If there's anybody that would like to be involved in a future episode, then they can contact us on uberrockcast@gmail.com. Sorry. And I'm happy to filter something in because I'm looking at various aspects of what's going on around where I live, which is South Wales. And I want to tie something in with some Music Venue Trust Week in January.
Okay.
And various other things like festival announcements and things like that. So if there's any festival announcements that you're aware of, I'm happy to set aside sort of 10 or 15 minutes for each person for one of those.
Okay.
I know I've got one lined up with the guys from Steelhouse. And I've also got to line up one with the chief exec of the Music Venue Trust in November.
Okay.
So, it's starting to take a little bit of traction. And given that this is only the third episode, I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Like I said, I did one with Mark last week. There's this one with you next week. And I'll probably have a chat to Johnny next week to look at the South Coast. And then Jace for the Netherlands.
Yep.
But what I'd like to do for you now is, I don't know whether you've come across it, but I find this website exceptionally useful. And it may be useful for bands who are trying to look for venues just slightly outside of their area.
Okay.
But I mean, I looked at it from a punter's perspective. Manchester, England. I'll just put Manchester in there for now. Okay. And I'll just share this with you to show you what's going on.
Okay.
It's a website called Hereby, okay, HEARBY.com, which is, like I said, is partnered with the Music Venue Trust. And what it does, it shows you anything that's going on in a particular area. So,
Okay.
for example, say you wanted to look at, I don't know, country music. There you are. It'll filter it down, and you can click those, and it'll show you what country music is going on.
Okay.
Okay. So, say you wanted to pick up, let's just hit indie. There we are for a change. There we are. And it gives you along the bottom, you can set a date range at the top. Okay. You can set your area, and it'll give you what's going on. And you can see that it gives you venues and what gigs
Yeah.
that are going on for the
It, it's ac-
month along
it's
the
actually
bottom.
it's actually quite funny you've got the peer hat up there because that's a venue that I work with a decent bit in Manchester.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was more by luck than judgment. I can
yeah. But yeah, they're actually a venue that I wanted to kind of give a little shout out to because they're always very, very helpful. They early weeks, so Monday, Tuesday, they actually offer free hire for bands as well. So they pay for the sound engineer and give you free hire. So anyone who's kind of a newer promoter or doesn't have much of a budget, that
Mm.
can obviously be bands themselves if they organise their own show, can get to basically have the room for free.
So
And
you
then
imagine, say for example, you were going away for a weekend,
Mhm.
and you wanted to find something that was to go to.
Mhm.
You could just click this, pick your style, find out where it is, and find something to go to. But what amazed me is the statistics around this. There's only 850 grassroots music venues in the UK.
that's a lot less than I actually expected.
Yeah. Well, in 2005 there were 3,000,
I was going to say, yeah.
and they're closing down at a rate of about one a week. Mainly because they're operating on a profit about 0.5%. So you can imagine why these things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some that are bucking the trend. One that comes to mind up sort of the Midlands area is KK Steelwell.
Yeah.
That seems to be really taking off, but that's got two rooms.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been there a couple of times for shows. I think last time was it was basically the first gig for what is now KK's Priest.
yeah, I've never been there,
Yeah,
but I
it's a nice place, but it's just outside the city centre, so it's probably a little easier for them than would be elsewhere. But that's also owned by KK Downing, who's
Judas
you know,
Priest, ex
yeah,
Judas
yeah,
Priest. Yeah.
yeah. So he's not doing too badly for himself.
Well, he's not short of a few quid, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a really useful website, but it doesn't just depict theatre, comedy, sports, anything.
Okay.
So it's really useful. But I actually contacted them and asked them if they would be happy for us to promote it on the site. And they said, of course. So, that's why I thought I'd bring it up. And it is as easy as type in your area, type in a date range, and then pick what you're looking for.
Okay.
And then they'll give you a list along the bottom. So if you're ever bored and you are looking for a gig to go to,
I mean, I'm always looking for gigs to go to, especially kind of smaller ones. Yeah.
there you are. So, just to give you an idea. I'll just stop sharing that now. It's useful because I wanted to share that for anybody that decides to watch it.
Mhm.
So it's been a useful thing, but it's also useful for you if you're going to start promoting as well. If you're looking for gigs in a different area, then you can see what venues are around.
Yeah.
You know.
And there was one thing I kind of wanted to mention because you asked about kind of festivals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a festival in the same way, but there's a baby hospice in Liverpool called Zoe's Place, which
I have heard of it.
So yeah, it's very recently uh, was on the verge of closure due to funds because it's I believe it's a charity funded thing, and obviously they just don't have budgets. Well, nothing like the budgets that they would have had before. One thing that's happened though is a lot of local artists and promoters are now kind of organising individual uh, like day festivals, stuff like that, to fundraise for it. So there's like some bigger acts that are going to be doing it. I believe in the Echo Arena, sorry, the M&S Bank Arena, I think it's called now, down on the waterfront, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is about 15 or 18,000 capacity,
Oh,
which is
I
quite a
saw
good size.
Genesis there
Oh, did you?
on the
Okay.
last Domino tour. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's other promoters of organising, as we speak, because I speak to, I get messages from them, could you recommend a couple of bands and like, try these kind of thing. I've been on the scene in Liverpool now for 25 years. Like I did
Mm.
literally 2 weeks off the 25 years today, and there's seen the community rally round in the way that it has. The music community. This is really really good to see.
Mm.
There's people literally made 5, 6, 7 figure donations. This is some businesses as well, which you know I go on and have a little look and see how the fundraising that's doing sometimes, and you literally just see these big sums, and you're just like, why is it taking getting to the point of almost closure for people to be willing to support in this way? It's
It's like everything, I suppose. It's all charitable donations and all charities are struggling
yeah,
because donations are less, because times are tight.
yeah.
I've got a big issue with the fact that there are so many food banks in the country.
Mm-hmm.
There shouldn't be.
No,
We're a
well,
first world country. We shouldn't have that many food banks in the country.
we shouldn't need any, but unfortunately,
But we do. We
yeah,
do.
we
And I know this because I know of nurses who are working who are having to use food
thanks.
banks
Yeah,
to survive.
yeah.
And that's wrong.
Like people literally keeping the likes of you and me alive.
Mm.
If we need to go in hospital, and yeah, it's
So I'll have a look for that Zoe's place, and I'll add a link on to the finished podcast. I'll add an image and see if I can add a web address to it to see if we can raise awareness.
that'll be great. Yeah,
And then it's the same with any in future episodes. If there's any gigs or bands that you feel that you'd like to help along the way, then I'm happy to do that. Doesn't cost me anything.
yeah. Well, there's another Manchester band that popped into my head before as well, that I think they could in the next maybe 5 years or so start to kind of break out. They did, from what I'm aware, they've been in bands before. I actually caught them supporting, I think it was Dystopian Future Movies. I think 2019 ish, when they toured over here, and they were the one support, and ended up like really liked the music. So got talking to them after the set, before the headline band came on, and it ended up with me going drinking with them that night, and you know, actually had like a great time because they were actually really, really good people as well, which is as important to me. That
Mm.
you get some people that are really, really talented, but an absolute arsehole at the same time. And don't get me wrong, talent should be supported, but
You don't have to be
attitude,
obnoxious.
yeah, attitude counts for a lot as well. And if people are going to be genuine, people is probably the wrong way of putting it, but I think you get the idea
Mm.
behind that kind of thinking. That's the type of person that I would like to support and try and kind of bump up. Yeah, the band are called Heavy Salad, and again, they're kind of 60s garage rock inspired music, vocal harmonies and melodies, stuff like that. And they're just another. I think they're on to the third or fourth album now.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, like
they,
I said, if you drop a link into the chat box,
yeah,
then I'll add it onto the site.
Okay.
I can add links, but I can't add original music or anything like that because it'll breach copyright.
So you could actually put some ingenue stuff in because I'm, as their legal representative, I can give you authorization for that. I also own the mechanicals for the latest recordings because I paid for them.
The problem being is when it goes on to YouTube, they'll check it, and I need the artist's original YouTube number or whatever it is.
I can pass you that across as
Yeah.
well. Let me stick that in here. No, this is heavy salad. Let me find the version.
I mean, it's okay. Like I said, when I go to gigs and take photographs, I can put those up because they're mine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but any music that's copyrighted, I need authorization.
Well, I can literally give you the authorization for them. I'm the management, and I've got full permissions to give out that authorization, so that's not a problem.
Okay.
As I said, the mechanicals are currently mine as well, so I paid for them in advance. I've said to the band, you keep all the merch money so that can just kind of rotate to the band, pay for the new ones, and give them a bit more kind of capital. And then as they're getting appearance fees at the minute, which I'm negotiating for them, they've gone in the space of a year of me managing them. They've gone from £20 a show to £150 a show. And from doing like a 20 to 30-minute set to a 90-minute set, and they can probably push to 2 hours now. So that's the ways I've been kind of nudging them in the background, kind of thing. But yeah, so I paid for this year's recordings out of my own pocket, and they're giving me the money back through appearance fees. So then it's one of those things that if I couldn't have spared it, I wouldn't have done that. Not, I'm hardly rich by any stretch of the imagination, but they're a band I believe in, and I'm gradually getting my money back. And then, so I've just done it basically like an interest-free loan kind of thing. Of once I'm repaid, they get the mechanicals back, sign back over kind of thing. But it's
But like I said, I'm happy to chat to any promoters or anybody in future episodes as long as it fits in with what I'm doing.
There's actually a venue that's opening up. I think it is. I think it's meant to be next Friday, but it's probably going to get delayed a week or two, judging by how much still needed to be done. It's a new venue that's going to be looking to do kind of some smaller bands as well. So I'm already one of the resident DJs in the upstairs part of their venue, which is already open. But they're basically transforming the bar that was underneath from a sports bar into a rock alternative bar, which will have a stage for some bands as well.
Was that Liverpool or Manchester?
That's in Liverpool. But it's not. It's an independent venue in that it's not a big, multinational chain, anything like that. But at the same time, it's not, because it is backed by a decent sized company. But it's just that they own, I think, around 30 bars in Liverpool, and I think a couple outside of Liverpool as well. So they have the capital to invest to make it kind of tick over. So I was just waiting for my knee to click then.
Right. So that's as much as I wanted to, and it's nice to talk to you.
Yeah, same.
It's nice to put a face to a name.
Yeah.
And we'll do it again.
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, if you head up this way, for Manchester or Liverpool, anything, let me know and meet for a beer or whatever. Same if I'm heading down Cardiff or anything, I'll give you a nudge as well.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm quite happy going to Cardiff. But like I said, if that's it, I'm just going to put a stop to this.
Yeah.
And then the next episode, I'm going to be having a chat to Johnny.
Johnny next thing.
Yeah, about the South Coast. I know he lives up the north, but he did say he'd volunteer something about what's going on the South Coast.
Yeah, he's from Bournemouth originally. Yeah. Johnny's someone that I met by accident in Manchester after a gig. I'm pretty sure it was after The Offspring in the 2015, 2016 kind of time.
Mm.
And got integrated to the group by realizing that one of them was a bit of a pest towards women and made sure that he couldn't be. Like, not, I didn't put my hands on him or anything like that, but I just made myself a big presence in the middle and just talked very nicely, which puts a lot of people off because I'm 6.5 foot tall. And when you're 6.5 foot tall, well, in my new rocks, I'm 6'8". I'm 6'5" about. So I tend to tower over people, and when someone has just met me and they don't really know me, I know I'm quite intimidating, and I play up to that quite a bit sometimes as well. But then when people speak to me, they realise just I really don't care.
Big teddy bear.
I don't know about that. I've got too much of a sarcastic and well, we'll call it a mind.
Like I said, if there's anybody else that you think would like to get involved in a future one, I'm trying to keep it to around 20 minutes to half an hour because I realise people are busy.
Yeah. I end up talking for ages as you've seen today. So it's
No, it's not a problem. And like I said, if there's any music or anything that you think that we could include, then I've also set up a YouTube channel, and I can put videos and things on that because you can link videos, not a problem, but I can't do it via the podcast.
okay. Yeah, and if you want to use anything from Ingenue,
Okay.
have a listen to what they've got. If there's any songs in particular, next single's getting announced this coming Friday, which will be the one for I think it's 1st November. It's the first Friday of November anyway. Yeah, first.
Have you told Mark about it?
I've been trying to nudge Mark about stuff, but Mark's like, "Oh, no nepotism." And it's just like, Mark, genuinely have a listen, and you will actually really, really like the band. It's genuinely so good. I'm trying to get them. I'm trying to get them gigs outside of Manchester at the minute, but because they've basically got their kind of clique in Manchester, they do really well in Manchester, but they've only played 2 gigs outside, both of which were this year that I've organised. So it's
like I said, my son's just doing that with a band from Barnstaple. They've got 2 gigs one in Cardiff and one in Barnstaple.
Well, if they want one up this way, ask them to get in touch, and I'll see. Like, even if I can't, I can let them know who to kind of speak to.
Well, they called these 5 years.
Can you send me a link to that?
Yeah.
Probably through message. I need to shoot off very shortly.
I gotta let you go. Thanks for your time.
I've literally got about 20 minutes to get ready and leave for my train to get to the gig.
Have a good gig.
Yeah,
okay.
No worries. I'll catch you soon, man.
Bye, Jess. Take care.
Bye.